You should have it now.
Yay, there it is. All right, hold on a second. I'm just going to go shut one of my doors. Usually it tells me where it's going to record it to. I have no idea where it's going to record it to.
Well. Right. Like it's going to, will it be on your
computer? Whether it saves it to my computer or whether it saves it to my laptop. Maybe it defaults to the computer here. So it'll tell me probably afterwards, I guess.
Yeah, it just says it doesn't give me the ability to decide where it gets recorded for you, but okay, at least we're rolling now.
Yeah. Hi. Well, thanks so much for taking some time to be with me today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's a good way to stay connected and catch up.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, why don't you just tell me, I don't think you and I have had a chance to connect since like June, July, or maybe early in the fall and stuff like that. So I think if you could just share with me a little bit about what the fall was like for you and, you know, what you were saying about maybe that map and resources, that would be great.
Right. So I think that the last time that you and I spoke, we had already completed our distribution of USDA Farmers to Families boxes that was direct to food pantries.
Right.
Right. That happened in July and August. And
I think we were actually able to advertise a few of those because, and then there was the pickups that were happening actually in the Willow Grove Mall, and they were taking turns with, maybe out in Oaks or something like that, out in Oaks.
Yeah, that was our mass community food distribution where we were doing 4,000 boxes per event direct to the community, alternating between Willow Grove Mall and the Greater Philadelphia Expo Center in Oaks. And then for 8 weeks in July and August, in the next phase of the USDA Farmers to Families box program, we were doing direct to food pantry distribution of those boxes, and we had connected with a couple of community-based organizations that had their own distribution network already established. They had volunteers and they had done meals to the community before.
Right. So they I think Kenneth Israel was one of the ones that was
right. They had their own pipeline, so to speak. Right.
Yep.
So geez, I'm grappling right now with the number. I think it was 160 tons of food that we moved in through that event. And actually I have a PowerPoint presentation that I can share with you that has a lot of great slides and all of the exact statistics and data there. So I don't have to guess and draw.
Right, I hear you. It's a lot of numbers.
Yeah. And the fall has been really, really exciting. I'm sure you heard that our county came into $145 million in Federal CARES Act funding that was all intended to support COVID-19 response work.
Right.
And, you know, Lorelei, you and I came to know each other through Val Arkush's call that she had been conducting among clergy people to keep you apprised of what was happening with COVID-19. So I'm sure it won't surprise you to know that our commissioners are very aligned with the work that we're doing, very supportive of it, and they very graciously connected our food pantry network with 2 million of those dollars.
Wow. Okay.
So the really wonderful thing about Monco Anti-Hunger Network's participation in that opportunity was that the county absolutely did not have the wherewithal to be connecting with 45 individual food pantries to distribute these resources.
Yep.
So because we already have an organization throughout the network, I acted primarily as coordinator of those $2 million. So it really streamlined operations for the county. We offered to food pantries in the first round of funding for the first $1 million. We offered them dollars for equipment for their operations, renovations necessary to improving their operations during COVID-19, increasing their electrical capacity so they could accommodate those new cooling units.
Yep.
There were a number of organizations that needed to do some exterior renovation work to facilitate our contactless outside distributions that are happening, you know, and
Right.
still happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they're actually distributing the food. So a portion of the money went to that, and then we gave them dollars for food, and the county connected us with a vendor that was already part of their vendor network. So what that really means is that they had already established a relationship with this food distributor. They'd already been vetted, and they were able to cut a PO directly to them, which eliminated the need for the money to pass through any other organization. So it kept it all very clean for them. The reporting was all very streamlined. And we got connected to this amazing wholesaler called Driscoll Foods. And they operate out of Northern New Jersey and New York. And they already serve over 800 food pantries in the work that they do. And they have brought such incredible value and high quality products in a variety of products that our food pantry network has never seen before. My network is just over the moon with what they're able to lay hands on to distribute to their consumers. And the really amazing thing is just how fast all of this money is going. I mean, I guess when you really think about it, and you're spreading $1 million out over 45 food pantries, that's not that much money per food pantry. But you know, most of them are blowing through their allocation in just a couple of months. So, you know, I've been doing this business for 3.5 years, and that was a wake-up call for me. That food pantries really have the capacity to spend some of them $10,000 a month on food, based on the number of people that they are serving, and you know, the variety of foods that they want to be able to offer. So it has been wow, chaotic, crazy, fast-paced, but very, very gratifying. And then this work that we've done with the county has just been really productive. And I'm just so proud that they really prioritized our needs. You know, every county across the state, probably in every state, got CARES Act funding to distribute. And you know, our commissioners came directly to us. We were one of the first organizations they reached out to say, we've got money and we know that this will help strengthen the safety net in supporting you. So we really were just so fortunate to have this great relationship with them, and to be seen by them and to be supported by them. So that was all really awesome. So right now, actually, I do have some very exciting news. We had a windfall opportunity. One of our partners is Catholic Social Services. They have a food pantry called Martha's Choice Marketplace, and they are on East Johnson Highway in Norristown. And they are, generally speaking, the largest volume food pantry in Montgomery County. And they own that organization. Catholic Social Services, through the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, owns St. Gabriel's Hall on the west side of Norristown. I don't know if you're aware of it or not.
I don't think I know it really well, but yeah.
It is a historic property, a historic building. I think it was constructed late 1800s on a 34-acre campus, and for decades it was home of a residential program for adjudicated youth, boys, who were coming through the criminal justice system. And when family court closed down in March, their pipeline for program participants and their income stream dried up. So within a couple of months, they had to close that program down entirely. And Catholic Social Services, until that property is sold, is making it available to the local division in Norristown for their food pantry operations. So We are using that space for a makeshift warehouse.
Okay.
And we have never had warehousing capacity before. We have always needed to offload any food that was donated to us on the same day that we received it, because we have no place to store it, not even a single
Not
cardboard
like for an
box.
overnight, right? Like not for
No place,
yeah.
no place to store it. And we've only had access to St. Gabe's Hall for, I don't know, probably like 8 weeks, and have probably taken advantage of that space a dozen times already. And being able to accept a large donation and have a place to house it while we schedule food pantries to take delivery on that product. And this is a game changer for us, and really brings us full circle in our capacity to serve the network. Now, we need to develop this and really get the hang of it and figure out the best way to manage it so that we can really maximize the utility of the opportunity. But it really puts us in a new league altogether. And we're just really, really excited about the additional value we will be able to add to the network as a result of that increased capacity.
Yeah, one of the very immediate things that strikes me about that in this shift, and never having had that space before, but I hadn't really thought about the fact that if you receive huge shipments to a certain degree within your own leadership as an organization, you would be, dealing with a certain kind of logistical, major stressful crunch kind of event, which is that whoever can come and get it, it becomes a first come, first serve kind of opportunity. And so there are perhaps food pantries that don't necessarily have the volunteerism or staffing or whatever that, if something drops on a Tuesday, they can come and get it immediately on a Tuesday, but, have volunteers that are more accessible on a Thursday. And it would strike me that perhaps like never before, it also gives you an opportunity to maybe address some equity, that while there's lots of need in so many different places, there's an ability to distribute it a little bit more equitably from the standpoint of not putting all of those 45 food pantries in a position that they would have to have anybody at a moment's notice, have a van to come pick up
exactly
whatever. And that would really change how you can truly resource those 45 pantries.
Yeah, it does. And honestly, I'm very much aware of the resource positioning of each one of these food pantries. And I know which ones are in constant need of additional inventory because just because of the sheer numbers of people that they're serving. And I'm aware of those food pantries that are in constant need of resources because they just don't have the food resource connections that some other food pantries have. So those are all
maybe
things,
not made the business connections or the professional connections, or because of maybe even their volunteer membership, right? Like for me, it's crazy that I have seen, so we know KI, Kenneth Israel, fairly well because of the community meals that they used to do. And also because we had been doing them. I can't remember if we started ours a little bit before them, but it was very clear that within their community, they had some resources, that enabled them to do it in a different kind of a way. And I think they were even doing it. They were even able to offer it weekly, but I think maybe on a daytime instead of, a number of the other communities that have done them Sunday afternoons and stuff. And so, yeah.
Right. And our numbers have increased from pre-COVID from 35 food pantries to 45.
Okay.
And we're not serving all 45 of those pantries yet with our food resource program, our own logistical team, like I just explained to you. But all 45 of those food pantries do have access to the federal CARES Act funding for the moment.
Okay. Yep.
And we are trying to build our capacity so we can begin to serve more and more of those food pantries directly with our food resource program. And you really did hit the nail on the head because, some of those newer pantries that we have taken on are ones that were out there doing their own thing, probably on a very limited basis. Some of them operating just on the food donations that were made by parishioners.
Right. And
in their
community members
congregation.
and stuff.
Yeah, and community members. And then when the pandemic hit and so many people were out of work overnight and turning to food pantries for the first time, their numbers really exploded, and they were caught off guard. You know, they were not as well resourced as the organizations that that participate in the government food program, and organizations that are members of Philabundance. So those are the ones that really needed that extra help, and are really benefiting from these federal CARES Act dollars and their ability to spend them at Driscoll Foods. So
I just have to laugh because when you say Driscoll Foods, it just makes me think, I could be wrong here, but it just makes me think of strawberries. I feel like Driscoll is a name that's connected with the strawberries. I'm sure it's not, but it'll be easy to remember that way.
It's not right, but I hear you. Yeah. So that's all been really exciting for this operation at St. Gabe's. We have purchased some electric pallet jacks. I bought my first forklift. That was exciting. We're going to take delivery on that next week.
How big is the square footage of the hall that you're using at St. Gabe's? Do you have any, do you have any idea? Because like, if this is not going to be available in a long-term kind of a way, you know, and how long you would need such a storage facility, I don't know, but in a long-term way, I guess I was just kind of curious. Like,
yeah, no, I do know. I don't have exact numbers, but I can give you my best guesstimate. They have 3 auditorium, gymnasium type spaces that they're going to allow us to utilize for food storage, but we are currently occupying large dining hall space that is adjacent to their commercial kitchen, where they have walk-in freezer and walk-in refrigerator units. And these dining hall spaces are like 50-foot by 50-foot square dining halls that ordinarily are filled with tables and chairs. And it's a gorgeous mission style building. So the doorways that lead to these 3 consecutive halls are like triple wide and really 2-story ceilings and just very spacious, and a really great space to accommodate the kind of bulky physical activity of moving pallets of food around. So that's
it just seems fun to watch. I don't know.
It is.
I mean,
it is.
Like, as you describe it, right? I think it's really, you know, for me to hear this in a personal way, and then to be able to share this with the congregation, like how much food is being moved, you know, you need a forklift to do it, you know, or the size of those rooms. I mean, I think it's really kind of incredible.
Absolutely. So we do intend to open up that space to the entire network in the event that anybody needs additional storage space for surplus food. That's one of the problems with food pantries, is that not many of them are made, not many of them are cultivated in an organization with intentionality. A lot of them just spring up out of a spare space. We're not using this room for anything anymore, or we've converted an area into the food pantry. So there really aren't many food pantries that have an abundance of storage space. So when client volumes go up so quickly, it then becomes really an all-in and an all-out kind of exercise for them. You know, if your numbers increase, let's just say arbitrarily, if your numbers double, then you're going to be able to distribute all of the food you have potentially storage space for in 1 or 2 weeks. And then you're going to have to start over again with new food. Right? So storage is really key. And the fact that Catholic Social Services has always been a strong partner for us. They have a seat on our leadership board
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that they're so excited about sharing this resource with us is really quite amazing. And it's just a commentary on how collaborative the Food Network is, and how important it is to all of us that we not only take care of our own projects, our own feeding programs, but that other food pantries in the network have the resources that they need to be successful. So that's really a great thing. And then there's one other story. Something just happened last Friday, so I have to tell you about this because it's so exciting.
Go ahead, tell me.
It's really a commentary on how far we've come. I got a call midday last Friday from a dispatcher in Illinois who had a truck sitting at Americold in Hatfield. And that truck had 2 pallets of frozen chicken products on it that Americold would not take because it was 2 pallets more than what they were expecting. And they didn't have the space to store it.
Okay.
So the driver had to get rid of it. And the turnaround had to be really quick because the expectation of the driver for their schedule was that they were going to go to Americold and drop all of their cargo and then go on to their next stop. And now they were hung up because they had these 2 pallets that they didn't know what to do with. So I knew that I had space available at St. Gabe's, so that was all good. And then, the truck was at a space, Americold isn't outfitted with forklifts and things like that. I knew that the truck driver would be able to drop the pallets from his lift gate, but there would be no way to get those pallets onto our truck. So when we did this direct to food pantry distribution of farmers to families boxes in July and August, we did this in collaboration with Lansdale Warehouse. They were our logistics headquarters. And I called the owner of Lansdale Warehouse and said, hey, I've got a truck that's 10 minutes from you. Can he just swing by? And, would you mind just taking these 2 pallets of food off his truck and then putting them onto our cargo van? And they were very happy to do it. It was no problem for them. And it just made the whole thing work for us. So, it is in combination of the physical resources that we're securing and the relationships that we're building.
Yes.
To be able to do that. And it's just an amazing thing to see so many people in the community come together around this to help meet this need. It's really exciting.
That is. That Lansdowne warehouse, is that a non-food related business that actually kind of has jumped in but had the space in that physical resource?
Lansdale Warehouse is a trucking logistics firm that has been, they have 5 locations. Their main location is at 1330 North Broad Street in Lansdale. I have that one committed to memory.
Yeah, I bet.
And they've been there since the 50s. And so they're all about trucking. And some of what they move is food, but they have a warehouse there and they receive product for clients, and they're like the fulfillment center for those companies where the product gets shipped to them and then it gets shipped out through their trucking network to whoever sells it or whoever's using it. So it is the kind of place that you could drive by for 30 years and never really know is there. You just don't really pay attention
because
to it.
It's a behind the scenes kind of a thing, right? Like it's not a retail. It doesn't go right to a particular customer. They're a transitional kind of a business.
It is a logistics operation. I'll send you the PowerPoint presentation that I have that includes the work that we did with them. It was really cool. They're very community minded, very civically oriented, and have a reputation for partnering with organizations like ours to do things for the community. And we had some crazy things happen in that 8 weeks that we were working with them. The whole Farmers to Families box program had no ramp up time. So as you can imagine, there were lots of bumps in the road. We were all doing something that we had never done before and had no time to plan for. We were winging it. And there were a couple of times when it was like, looked like it was going right off the rails for us. And Lansdale Warehouse reined it in and went above and beyond to make sure that, you know, that we stayed on track and we're all squared
because that's
away.
part of what they do, right? Like as a business, they're a logistics business in a lot of ways. So even if it wasn't exactly, you know, their specialty or whatever, they have the other skill sets, right? So that's really interesting.
If you don't mind, I wanted to just show you the map
That would be great.
of the food pantries so you can see who's in your immediate area.
Oh,
so all of those, whoops, sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
There we go. All of these in
yellow,
goldish yellow, right, or in your neck of the woods.
Wonderful.
I have them listed alphabetically over here.
Yeah.
But let's see.
You work with Jenkintown and Lehman. Okay, so that's great. So both Jenkintown and Lehman are two of our neighboring United Methodist churches that, you know.
Yeah.
And you're working with Willow Grove Baptist now too. I'm glad to hear that. I didn't know. Were they one of the newer 10 that kind of came in?
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So yeah, and so as a congregation, right? I mean, they're neighbors up and around the corner just a little bit, but you know, we've had other reasons to have good fellowship and communication with them, and we very regularly, you know, in some ways we're sort of helping through social media, right, to promote their cause and direct resources there.
So glad to hear it. So glad to hear it. So Willow Grove is new. St. John's and St. Catherine's are relatively new.
And where is St. John's? I'm sorry.
St. John's is in
is that
yeah, so that's
okay. St. John's.
Here's St. Catherine here. This is St. John's.
Presbyterian or Lutheran?
It's a Lutheran.
Yes. Yes, I think I've met the pastor from up there. I haven't talked to him lately, but yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So let's see what else is here.
And that 611 corridor, I mean, that 611 corridor there is definitely where we've worked a lot with actually the meal resourcing, right? Like, so who's doing meals on this day, who's doing meals on that day? You know, kind of almost following that 611 corridor has been the thing that we've done. And we found that some of that is because it's a public transit thing. We share families that way because of public transit, just because, and we have that wonderful hub being here in Willow Grove. I mean, I think that some of our community that have lived in Willow Grove, you know, for a very long time, we take for granted that we're the crossing of a lot of infrastructure. Not only from highways and byways, from, you know, from a car standpoint, right? But like we're literally a block and a half within walking distance of the train that goes into Center City, and, you know, quite a few significant bus routes because of the mall in particular. And yeah, I mean, I think other industries and stuff, you know, it's.
There you go.
That's really neat to see that.
There you go. And another new one that has just popped up.
New Life Presbyterian too, yeah.
Yeah, actually, we also work with New Life Drescher, although they're not on this list because they feel like they're at capacity right now and don't really want to be readily promoting to the outer community. But St. Basil's is a brand new partner with us. Do you know anything about them?
I don't actually.
Okay, so St. Basil's Spiritual Center is an order of Ukrainian nuns.
Oh, okay.
And this is the really cool thing about them. I mean, they're making their resources available to anybody in the community that needs it, but they're particularly targeting Ukrainian immigrants.
Okay.
Which is awesome, because anything that you can do to break down those barriers to access, you know, certainly language barrier is incredibly problematic when people are trying to get connected to community resources. So I'm just so excited that they are there to support that group of people.
Wonderful.
So check this out. They're like 12, right?
I know, it's great. It's really wonderful to see that. Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're cooking with gas over there. There's a lot of food pantries in your neck of the woods.
I know. Well, and I think that's been one of the wonderful things about, I think for all faith communities, you know, this has been such a difficult time for all organizations, for all families, you know, in these small ways, but in these global ways. And I think that one of the things that I've tried to remind us as a congregation, and I try and remember myself, right, is that um, we are all called, but we are not necessarily all called to be all things to all people, and that we're also not all resourced with the same kinds of resources, right? So there are particularities about who Willow Grove United Methodist Church is and the unique context that we serve in these couple of blocks, or in who our membership is, um, what we have capacity for, or even what we dream about, you know what I mean? What gives us so much joy as we think about what it means, you know, to be those that help bring about the kingdom of God. And that we're not really in a position at this point in time with certain of those resources, but even in a certain kind of way with our physical space, to be able to do what Willow Grove Baptist is doing with their food pantry. But to be able to put our collegial support behind them, to literally show up and allow them to do what they're able to do well, it enables us to do other things that we can do well, you know, here in this space. And you know, for me, one of the things that it's a little bit out of sight, out of mind for us as a worshiping congregation, but what I think is so wonderful and critical is that we've been able to offer meaningful support for young families through, you know, the support of the delivery of a high quality childcare program.
Absolutely.
And the amount of non-disruption that has created for those families and their ability to earn income and stay employed, to know that their children are safe, that there are heavy and very strong cleaning protocols and safety protocols that are in place. I mean, if that program was not able to exist, you know, and that wasn't being housed physically in our space, it might be hard to capture what the collapsing of that program would mean, like to be able to quantify it, or perhaps even to quantify what it means that it's going well, except for that as we look around in other parts of the community, we know that there are other programs that were not built and didn't have the capacity to do that. And so like, I think that just gives me, you know, an incredible sense of joy, and to remind us of all of the things that we're capable of, you know, as we're called into the next new thing as well, you know, because there are next new things. And there's very much about this whole pandemic that is also coming to us in phases, right? So as you talked about, like all the logistical stuff, but the relationships that were built because of almost the crises you faced, right? Of like things feeling like they were falling off of the rails. The ability, like I was just sharing, actually in the context of a funeral service yesterday, that there's so much about our culture that can be very individualistic, and that there are gifts and graces in the fight for our own hearts and our own souls, and the development and the learning of our own hearts and our own souls, but that, you know, it's also really important to remember that sometimes God's grace acts the most when we do the thing that we've been taught most by society not to do, which is to ask for help, and to acknowledge that things are beyond our own ability to you know, take hold of. And I'm sure there's a lot of those like soft stories, quiet stories, that are all of the incredible stories that also make up this, you know, thousands of pounds of food that's been mass produced, you know, are the ways in which there's been grace that has been shown, and people experiencing possibility in a way that they never imagined. Or
you know, I think you have a very well-rounded perspective on the needs of the community. I mean, a community is diverse and they have lots of needs, and you're right, one organization can't serve all of those needs. Find your lane and do a good job in that lane, and do what you can to be adding breadth of service in the community. And you're right, there are lots of people who are out of work because they couldn't find childcare, and had to be at home with their kids, and that's really unfortunate. So you certainly are providing a very valuable service. And you know, those quiet stories that you talk about, you know, that's a very personal reality for every person who is getting support. And we're never going to know all of those stories. We'll probably only ever know some of them because they're so personal. And you know, we just have to, I think, have to be be satisfied in knowing that when you're providing essential service,
Yes.
that it's really appreciated, and it's really helping someone negotiate this hardship,
Yeah.
getting through. These are
Yeah.
tough times,
Yeah.
and people are strained, and they need this kind of support to maintain their stability. That's the name of the game right now, is maintain your stability so that you can come out of this on your feet.
Yeah. What do you see as the new opportunities as we're kind of moving into this new year and these next couple of months? I mean, it's clear that the virus is pretty strongly still with us. There's a certain kind of hope with vaccination, but that's going to take quite a long time. But I mean, as you have a sense about what you hear and what your organization would interpret about what's happening with the economy or not happening just yet, I mean, how do you see how the work of MAHN is going to be needed throughout this next year, and perhaps most intimately in the next couple of months?
Well, I think that, for the kind of work that we're doing, access to food is what's most important, access to food resources. And, while the Farmers to Families boxes added a tremendous amount of value at a time where we were really at a point of emergency, it was like getting a feel for how to operate during pandemic times, finding your plan B after you lost your job. That food added a lot of value. But at the same time, there's nothing like giving a food pantry an opportunity to purchase what they know that they need,
Right.
right? Because what goes into a food box is arbitrary,
Right.
and you don't have any say over what that product is. So we have really seen the greatest value add with the CARES Act dollars. And, we don't know yet with the new presidential administration what kind of dollars will be coming out to support food security. And I believe that, I think just in the last couple of days, we saw that President Biden is going to augment SNAP benefits. So he's going to increase the dollar allotment that's available to people who are accessing SNAP benefits. And for anyone who may not know, SNAP is what was formerly known as food stamps. It's a supplemental nutrition assistance program. But, our organization, and actually we're just about to launch into a round of strategic planning right now. So this is all, the timing is all very serendipitous. We're really looking at what value we can add that will complement our other food resource partners. Share Food Program manages the contract for government food in Montgomery County, and Fill Abundance is the primary food bank for Montgomery County, and they both do their jobs really well, but they can't be all things to all food pantries either.
Right, exactly.
So we need to look closely at what they are not able to give and use our resources to fill those holes. So what I expect us to do in the spring months is to probably use the bulk of the dollars that are being donated to us now to purchase, to do large scale leveraged purchases of wholesale food that will distribute to the network. And I don't know if that will look like, the Driscoll Foods working directly with the food pantry for them to order exactly what they want. That takes a lot of money to be able to do that. I just told you that we just spent down $1 million like that. And Monco Anti-Hunger Network does not have $1 million to spend on food. But, we can identify the very high demand products that food pantries just cannot seem to get enough of, and use these dollars to purchase those and to potentially warehouse them at St. Gabe's and distribute them from there. So, there is going to be a period of wait and see.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And there is a lot of hope with the vaccine. Of course, that's going to take time not only to administer, but to time until everybody is safeguarded by it. So, this has all been about being nimble.
Yes.
And responsive, and being able to just rise to the occasion, rise to the call of what's happening this week.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping that we can use these dollars to purchase, great stuff for food pantries to fill in those gaps. And that's really what we're looking at, is just making sure that there is enough food.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's wonderful to see that map too, and just, I don't know, to hear what's happening a little bit in a more global level, even if it's only Montgomery County, right? Because it's easy for us to be concerned with how well our families are doing, how well our very most immediate neighbors are, and to be able to hear good news, I think, in the midst of all of these challenges.
It is good news. It is good news. All of these relationships that we have been working on for years, and partnerships that we've been building, and new relationships with business owners like Lansdale Warehouse, it's all producing value now. So that's a beautiful thing to see too.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. I don't know if I have any other questions. No, I have one question. Do you guys have any sort of a monthly newsletter or weekly newsletter, or where's the best place for people to kind of continually stay in touch? Like, is it an email list? Is it?
Yeah, actually, anybody who goes to our website, on the bottom of each web page is a place where you can sign up for the newsletter. And I will be perfectly honest in saying that I can't remember the last time the last newsletter came out.
No, I understand that too.
And up until December 14th, I was a one-person organization, and I have hired an administrator, and we're knocking out some of the big stuff right now that has just not been properly attended to for a period of time. And I'm going to be gradually bringing her on board to do additional things as well. And then as my time gets freed up, I will be more conscientious about our outward facing communications. So, the homepage of the website, it's pretty lean. It's not going to suck down a lot of your time to go there, but if anything is happening, we promote it there.
Okay. So the front page of your webpage. And then I know at one point there was a little bit of a Facebook. There were sometimes some Facebook posts, and I understand too, because besides myself as the full-time staff person here at this local church, I do have a part-time administrator, but there's so many different, through the challenges that we faced, right? Sometimes you're meeting the needs of whatever's right in front of you in the day, and so just ways to tell the story.
Yeah, we do.
You want to be doing it. It's how can you get to doing it? But
we do have a Facebook page, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's really the easiest place to post. See the homepage of the website, the Facebook page, and we'll be pushing out any new information that we have as we gather it and organize it. I'm hoping that within the next month I can have like a summary of MAHN's COVID-19 response work. That'll probably be an infographic, but that will have some meaningful numbers on it.
Right.
That will help you put the hunger picture in context.
Yep. Yeah, and if you send that other PowerPoint presentation, I think you might.
I will. I'll send it to you just as soon as we end the meeting. Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time. It's nice to meet you, and see you. I feel like I have your face now in my
mind. Yeah, I do too. Thank you, and thank you so much for your church's support. That has just been, everybody doing their part. It has been amazing. To see the variety of outpouring among community stakeholders. And I value the fact that you consider yourself a stakeholder in the community's well-being, and that you're doing something to support what's important. So that we really
well, and I think the opportunity to have this conversation also renews that for us too, because there are some other, things that we moved through in the fall, or just and to be able to kind of circle back around, especially in this new place, and think about, how do we see ourselves and continue to see ourselves in that way? It'd be really great. So
it's all good.
Yay!
Thanks so much.
Well, thanks so much, and have a great afternoon, and thank you for everything, and have a good weekend.
It's my pleasure. Be well. Bye-bye.
All right, see ya. Bye.